I'm not going to take any of these entry-level jobs at $12 an hour. I'm not going to do that. I got to get paid money. Look, contractors hire people through the years, say here's 25, $30 an hour. They didn't know anything. It cost them money. Now they're going 10 until we see where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those deals with it. And I looked at that student complain he turned down a job at 13 an hour, and it's like, not the best, but it's decent company. I want to do my own thing. So he went and he told me how he did his own first service call with his own business, and he got paid like $20 to do that, just to replace the capacitor. I'm like, cool. How long did it take you? Well, it took me like 4.5 hours.
Wow.
Wait,
To
4.5 hours
to do a capacitor? Jesus
like,
Christ.
did they bolt the old unit down, glue it, stuff? He's like, no, I mean it took forever to troubleshoot why the blower motor wouldn't go, but once we figured out it was that capacitor, that's what took 4.5 hours was troubleshooting. It's like, didn't you use your meter to do the microfarad test, ohm out test like this? And oh man, we forgot all about that. And it's like, so at least you got paid decent money. I got 20 out the deal.
Damn, they don't even cover the capacitor.
I'm like, well, did you at least get the homeowner to pay for the part? No, we paid for that. Yeah, what with the homeowner paid for that, so that we could. But I got paid $20 for my time. I said, wait a minute.
He was happy.
With you sitting here saying that you ain't gonna do work for less than 13, you ain't nothing less than 20 an hour, but you just did 4.5 hours for $20. That's less than $5 an hour.
Yeah, that's like $5. That's trippy. and it will make it so bad. I got a story to tell about how when I graduated Vatterott, I couldn't find a job because I had warrants because of driving tickets. And then it was this one that's over there right off of H&M Vine. It's a retirement home. I had filled out an application there or whatnot, and she was about to offer me the job. She was like, you're such a good candidate. You're talking good. You know what you're talking about, but we're not going to hire you. I think, why? She was like, well, because you're from Vatterott. I'm like, what they got to do with anything? Well, we had 2 Vatterott guys down here, and they jacked up everything, and we don't want none of y'all here again. I'm like, okay, why would you even invite me down here for an interview if you already? I put that on my application. I'm like, I'm not them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not them. I'm like, give me a chance. And she was like, nah, because no.
That reminds me, we had one time a career fair, at Vatterott, and one of the employers there hired one of our students. Like, he wasn't a very bright student, but he had a lot of heart. Like, he wanted to be HVAC. He wanted to. It was what he wanted to do. Mm-hmm. He just wasn't very smart with it. Like, he'd be a good laborer, a good helper, till you can really get him going with it. But that employer was sitting there. He's like, man, I don't know what you guys are teaching these students, but I hired this one, and he was an idiot. He told me on the interview he could wire up a blower motor, and he couldn't do it. Mm. And I remember that student talking like, yeah, but it was one of those jobs where the fan speeds were changed to accommodate the ductwork how it should be installed, and you had him. So there's a lot of which way it was going to go. But he had his little table set up there, and he had a motor and a board, and he's like, I want to see you wired up.
Oh, really?
I'm like,
why would you do him like that?
This is how it go. I mean, I hired that student. He didn't know anything, and I want to meet his instructor. Well, I was one of them. Well, I'd have just punched you. I said, you know what? You want to go out in the parking lot? Let's go. Do not ball your fist up at me like that. He's like, that guy was an idiot and just didn't know anything. That's why I got to run this test, because that one student here. I'm like, okay. What about the other student you hired? Oh, that guy was awesome. Mm-hmm. So that one person who, he hired 2 students, but they weren't. I think it was the dumb one first, then the good one type of thing. I can't remember how it went type of deal.
And these are true stories, y'all.
And he's just going off on it, and I looked at him and I said, aren't you testing these people?
Mm-hmm.
So they just say, hey, I went to school at Vatterott and you're hiring them? Yeah. That
Did he
means they know
graduate?
everything.
Right. Now, did he graduate? I mean, what did he come out with?
No, that happened on another one where, one student, I felt sorry for him because it's like, I think he just had too much going on to really focus and pay attention. He's like, I hired this guy who was a classmate for maintenance and he doesn't know anything. And he said he graduated. I know when I missed that 1 week in your class, my grade went real quick. I said, yeah. And he said he graduated, but he wasn't in class he was there for the first 4 weeks and didn't show up for the last 6 weeks. So he even said he passed your class. I'm like, come on. Come on. You just said it yourself. You missed that 1 week and your grade went from an A to a C.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't there for 6 weeks and got dropped. And he's going to tell you he graduated?
Mm-mm-mm.
Oh, man, he played me, didn't he? Yes, he played you. He did.
He got you good.
That's like I tell some of the employers, it's like, you need to test them. Because we have students who are real good, and then we have some that, if you don't remind them to breathe, they're going to pass out in class.
Yeah, that's crazy because I had that one job that didn't hire me because I worked at Vatterott, but I had another job, Embassy, that hired me because I did work at Vatterott because they already had 2 guys down there that worked at Vatterott and they were still working there. Their names is PJ and Justin. 2 guys that I work with right now, that's how I got that job. Because once I didn't get that job, my heart was broken and whatnot. Because I thought I was gonna get it. Because that was the second interview. I'm like, okay, I got this job. Then she's gonna tell me I didn't have it because she already had some Vatterotters down there. Well, that's what she said.
Vatterotters.
Jesus Christ, how do I become the blame of everybody else's faults? But
because after Vatterott shut down, I came across an ad where one of the big companies around here was looking for we need a boiler man. It's like, look, I worked for a school district. I monitored 6 million BTU boilers. I'm talking big stuff, not the biggest, but that's big equipment. I mean, you're talking 4-inch pipe for supply of turbines,
a lot of water pressure.
20 horsepower, 3-phase pumps moving water through it. And okay, with a little, I taught boiler stuff at Vatterott, just a little back into getting your hands dirty. And I was on a 30-minute interview with that company, and they asked 20 questions, but not one question was about my skills. So what was it like working at Vatterott? So what was the curriculum at Vatterott? Well, how did the students take to the curriculum at Vatterott? And it's like, I should have sat there in the interview and went, is this a Vatterott interview or a Chad interview?
Right.
I thought I was interviewing for boiler. You're talking HVAC.